Tonight was the first night of the Democratic National Convention. And I was actually going to watch it, but I was in a boss fight on Ghost of Tsushima, and by the time I beat it, it was too late. So tomorrow, I promise you, we'll bring you the best highlights of tonight's speeches. But even if you didn't get to watch what happened, one thing is for certain. This year's conventions are anything but normal.
This pandemic is certainly changing how we nominate presidential candidates. The Democratic National Convention will get underway tonight to nominate Joe Biden, but hardly any speakers will be there in person.
It will be almost an entirely virtual event.
There will be no convention floor packed with delegates, no cheering or applause, and no balloon drop.
At these conventions, don't expect anything quite like this. Or that.
They won't be fun. They were so much fun. And I don't mean just for me. I think the audience watched the craziness and the audience enjoyed that.
That's right. For the first time ever, the conventions are going virtual, which means no crowds, no dancing, no balloon drops, and definitely no Bill Clinton kissing booth. Now, honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to watching speeches without the crowd cheering every other sentence. Because everything at these conventions gets a standing ovation. Anything. Does anyone drive a 2015 Kia Sorento? No, your lights are on. On the other hand, though, we all have to admit that a convention that takes place over Zoom just doesn't have the same juice. I mean, imagine if Obama had to do one of his famous speeches, but on Zoom. Yes, we can. Sorry, Obama, I didn't get that. Could you say that again? Yes, we can. Oh, could you speak slower? I think the connection is bad. Yes. Uh-huh. We can. Okay, we can what? I think you cut off at the end. We can what? No, that's the whole thing. Yes, we can. Oh, okay. Now, you don't have to be a genius to see what the underlying message of tonight's lineup was. From AOC and Bernie on the left, to John Kasich and a slew of other Republicans on the right, tonight was meant to showcase the broad appeal of Joe Biden across the political spectrum. Joe Biden is basically the Cheerios of presidential candidates. He's not the most exciting option, but deep down, you know he's good for you. And as he enters this convention week, Biden finds himself in a strong position against Trump. He's ahead by an average of 8 points nationally. He's leading in 5 out of the 6 swing states, and his wife sometimes lets him hold her hand. So that's something. But some recent polls show that Trump is closing the gap. And if there's one thing I've learned living in America, it's that the poll numbers are like the scores in basketball. They don't mean shit until the last 2 minutes of the game. And clearly Trump doesn't care about the polls anyway, because he's measuring the race by a completely different metric.
Did you see down in Florida the boat parade yesterday? Yeah. They broke the Guinness Book of World Records, and the boats, just thousands of boats, and that's all over the country. You know, it's everywhere you have a lake or a river or an ocean, there's these massive numbers of boats, and bikers for Trump.
I just looked, there are thousands of boats in lakes, rivers, and oceans, thousands and thousands of boats. It's called Boaters for Trump, Boaters for Trump Pence. There's signs all over. Some of the boats have 10 flags on them. They're incredible.
Yep, there's no denying that Trump is huge with the boating community. And I don't blame them. I mean, his policies are ensuring that the ice caps melt faster and make a lot more water for them. Plus, Trump has a special place in this community because he always stands like he's on a moving boat. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Trump tries to move all the polling locations from land to the sea.
You know, a lot of people are saying that water elections are much safer. In fact, there's never been a rigged election on water. You can check it out.